Hello and welcome to your daily dose of Satoshi's news. Today's date is Saturday, the 7th of June 2025. The year BSV comes alive. Branch your threads, expand your mind with treechat.ai or your post put on chain. Right, let's see what we've got today. We've got to talk about this. This is by Coin Edition that said Binance prevails in $11.9 billion BSV lawsuit as UK court rules investors lack claim to crypto earnings. So in other words, they've rejected the appeal of this. I mean, what an absolute farce that was. You know, I'll just put my 2 cents in on that one. Got a post here from CSW, which looks really quite juicy, you know, getting into stuff, because somebody has just pointed this out to me. Honestly, I just find things that blow my mind every day in the moment. So we'll just go over some of these biblical references and when they were written. We'll obviously have a look at some of the figures as we normally do. Some 365 days of Bitcoin, particularly juicy today because today is the anniversary that CSW logged into anonymousspeech.com. And also Blockstream.com was also created. But look at this, 7th of June 2019. Craig Wright filmed himself logging into the anonymousspeech.com domain name and hosting website, accessing the profile that Satoshi Nakamoto created in order to purchase the domain name and hosting services of Bitcoin. Absolutely huge. We'll remember that. We'll talk about Blockstream here, their logo, how it coincides with the World Economic Forum logo. Obviously, we'll talk about Blockstream, Larry Silverstream, and how that's all related to the creation of Blockstream, since Blockstream.com was created on today's anniversary. So that'll be it. Let's go on with the show.
Satoshi, like a cowboy in the West, riding on the blockchain that they call the very best. 1 million strong, them transactions flying free. Just wait for the Terra node, you'll surely see.
Alrighty, here we go. Rock and roll. Coin Edition said, and this was 15 days ago, published May 23rd. But Binance prevails in $11.9 billion BSV lawsuit as UK court rules investors lack claim to crypto earnings. I was actually watching a bit of this on the live, or as it was going live, like being streamed live on YouTube. Like, what an absolute farce it was. It was so bad. It was so bad and kind of like so obvious to me that the appeal wasn't going to be permitted, that something said to me, well, they're either unbelievably incompetent, or someone might just simply be using this event as more provenance in the future to say, look, we've done this, we've done that, tried to prove it this way, tried to prove it that way, you didn't believe us, and blah 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 blah, because this whole case was an absolute farce. Because literally when the judges were just saying, oh right, well the investors could have just sold their BSV, and they were giving notice that they could sell their BSV, and they could either move it to another platform and buy a BSV, or they could just simply buy another token. It was like the argument shouldn't have been like that at all, because there is no other token that can replace Bitcoin BSV. There is none. They were looking at it as though it was a security, just simply like a token made up like all the other tokens with no economic fundamental value whatsoever, and not representing anything either. So the entire argument in court should have been about the economic fundamentals of the token, and they didn't mention it at all. So in other words, it was literally completely and utterly, it was a bullshit claim. A complete bullshit claim without any fundamentals behind it. And the law of the barristers certainly didn't argue the fundamentals, and that's really what differentiates the genuine Bitcoin from all these shitcoins. And that wasn't mentioned at all. They were just like, oh, they delisted this coin. Oh right, well the exchanges have got a right to list and not list anything they want. Was their argument. They were given notice that they could have moved it. There was no argument about the fundamentals of it, which again makes me suspect, because this cost a small fortune. Well, yeah, for anybody who's in BSV and enjoys being poor, you know, it was literally almost like another waste of time, like a complete waste of time and resources. So is somebody, you know, wasting time and resources for the purpose of provenance? Could it be that? You know, just sort of like looking back at the evidence, you know, look what's happened in the past. He's tried to prove himself here, he's tried to prove himself there, you know, BSV claims went to court here, you know, we've got the Ira Kleiman case, the Cobra case, crikey, what else has there been? Yeah, the Peter McCormack case, the Hodlonaut case, you know, now we've got this, you know, the BSV claims case. So let's read this then. So the TLDR, too long didn't read. Binance and other exchanges win partial dismissal of $11.9 billion BSV lawsuit. The court says investors can't claim damages for missed profit opportunities. The verdict may shape future legal cases in crypto delistings. The UK Court of Appeal has delivered a decisive ruling in favour of Binance and several crypto exchanges. It partly dismissed an $11.9 billion lawsuit over the delisting of Bitcoin SV. The judgment on May 21st found that investors could not claim damages for hypothetical profits they might have earned had the token remained listed. Background, 6 years of legal dispute. Yeah, 6 years went into this. 6 years we've been around, you know. And again, I mean, the whole thing really should have been decided on the Ira Kleiman case. Yeah, but that didn't happen, and now there's all this stuff going on. The case stemmed from the coordinated 2019 decision by Binance, Kraken, Shapeshift, Bittylicious to delist BSV. I mean, look, a stemmed, coordinated 2019 decision, yeah, by all these massive exchanges, you know, to purposely list BSV. You know, no conspiracy there. And again, they called it a Bitcoin fork, and again, that's what should have been argued. It's not a fork. Associated with entrepreneur Craig Wright. Investors behind the lawsuit argued that the delisting unfairly prevented BSV from gaining value and deprived them from potential returns. Again, and that's a completely bullshit argument. Like literally a utterly bullshit argument with no substance to it, because there's no fundamental value of the token being described in the case. Like literally nothing. And they know nothing about it. Oh, why couldn't they have bought one of these other tokens? Yeah, because they couldn't argue the point of Bitcoin. The plaintiffs allege that the exchanges acted anti-competitively and the BSV price would have increased significantly if it had remained accessible on major trading platforms. The court investors not owed profit potential. The UK court rejected those arguments, stating that the investors were not legally entitled to any particular market performance of the cryptocurrency. Sir Geoffrey Voss, who authored the judgment, noted that BSV was not a unique crypto without reasonably similar substitutes. Look at that. That is my point exactly. He said BSV was not a unique crypto without reasonably similar substitutes. Look, that is the whole point of the case. That is the whole point of the case. Nobody was asking the economic fundamentals of the coin. And I haven't read this article before, as you can probably tell. That absolutely nails what I've been saying, which pisses me off because nobody was listening to me. And I sent emails, I wrote letters, you know, like trying to explain it. No response from anybody. So, you know, are they purposely ignoring the fundamentals of this? Because that's what would have won the case. Or maybe were they just throwing it, like I said, to use it as provenance in the future? Maybe. Otherwise, they're a bunch of fuckwits. The court held that the other digital assets could have served as alternatives, and investors should have adjusted their positions accordingly. They had a duty to mitigate their losses, Voss wrote, emphasising that market participants must respond proactively to protect their investments. No damages for missed gains. A key part of the lawsuit was the claim of loss of chance, the supposed opportunity to profit from future BSV gains had it not been delisted. The court rejected this as speculative. Yeah, absolutely, because there's no fundamentals there. Noting that cryptocurrency investments are inherently volatile because they're all economically worthless security offerings, securities fraud, all of them, all Ponzi schemes. Cryptos are by nature volatile investments, the court ruled, stating that it would not award compensation based on imagined profits. Only verifiable losses could be considered for compensation. The ruling sends a clear message: courts will not entertain lawsuits based on missed opportunities or unproven financial projections in the crypto space. Legal win for exchanges. The decision marks a significant legal victory for Binance and other exchanges involved. While the lawsuit was only partially dismissed, the court's rejection of the central claims undermines the bulk of the plaintiff's case. Yeah, the case was absolute bullshit. Notably, the ruling clarifies that crypto exchanges are not obligated to keep every token listed, nor are they responsible for the market effects of delisting decisions unless direct harm can be proven. Even if investors were unaware of the delisting event at the time, the court ruled their claims would be limited to the token's value before delisting, plus any directly quantifiable losses, not potential future profits. For Binance, the timing is strategic. The company is also attempting to dismiss a separate $1.76 billion claim brought by FTX estate. In that case, Binance argues that the FTX collapse was due to internal mismanagement and fraud, not any action brought by Binance. With the UK court's reasoning in its favour, Binance may add momentum to its broader legal defence strategy. Yeah, like I have trouble believing that all of those involved would be this inept and utterly incompetent, as to bring such a frivolous point to court without any fundamentals. So I just have to hope that it's part of a bigger plan, because I wouldn't want to think that those who were orchestrating this were that stupid. Really, we'll see. Right, let's get into this post here from CSW. CSW getting into the thick of things. Check it out. I won't be able to get through this. This is like epic. But look at this. The trickster. All right. And so after this, there are some, sort of maybe biblical references. Just because after the picture looks kind of like devious to me. The divine bastard. Look at that. The trickster. Right, so let's see what he says. Part 1, the divine bastard. The trickster precedes theology, not merely in mythic chronology, but in metaphysical precedence. This is not an actor upon the stage of order, but the force that exposes the scaffold beneath the stage, the worm within the timber, the grotesque hinge between ontology and epistemology. He is not evil, not even mischief in the juvenile sense, but necessity wearing the guise of scandal. He is the original Althea, the unconcealer, the apophatic dismantler of synthetic coherence. To speak of him as an antagonist is already to capitulate to the schema he disdains. He is the event that mocks structure, the rupture in logos before logos can claim to be divine. Civilization births him not as an aberration, but as a midwife of its own impossible birth in every theological schema, from the Nordic to the Akan to the Vedic and Mesoamerican. The trickster emerges not in opposition to gods, but as the anterior and often catalytic principle of their becoming. There is no theology without transgression, no sanctity without scandal. The trickster is not the vandal in the temple. He is the architect who, having designed its geometry, pisses the baptismal front and laughs at the acoustic of blasphemy. The sacred is the ossuary without him, a reliquary of stagnation. He fertilizes the disruption. The temple stands only so long as allows its mortar to remain unmocked. Unlike chaos, which is formless potential, the trickster possesses a telos not progress, not correction, but exposure. This telenology is donation. He's the vector through which systems confront their own. What is this? Apparatus. His methodology is irony. His ethic is irreverence. His epistemology is a subversion. He does not seek justice, only revelation. Justice is a construct too pompous to escape his ridicule. He tears down, not from spite, but because decay concealed is always worse than ruin unveiled. In this, his serves as a cultural's tragic physician. His diagnosis terminal is a bedside manner obscene, but his analysts emasculate. But this analyst emasculate. The trickster is not reducible to dialectic. He is not the antithesis. He's the virus, the Hegelian synthesis, the refusal of closure, the laughter that erupts when the system congratulates itself. He's the counterpoint to gnosis, not ignorance, but a superior knowing. Agnostic derision, the knowing that makes caricature of knowledge. He traffics in the obscene, not the is it plural delight? Is that plural delight? But because the obscene reveals what the solemn masks, the trembling foundations of certainty. To call him a nihilist would be an error of the moralist. He does not reject value; he reorders it. He is not a deconstruction for its own sake, but a sacralized auto-de-fe, a rural burning of false idols, and eclastic purge of the Platididanos. In every cosmology where the trickster appears, his function is the same. A transgress boundaries, so the boundaries might be known. He is the origin of distinction through its defilement, the differentiators through desecration. In this sense, he is the true demiurge, less the craftsman of matter than the architect of meaning through its profanation. Where order is claimed to be eternal, he stages the farce that exposes its temporal costume. Where the priest intones eternal truths, he whispers their accidental grammar. Where the philosopher dreams of universal, the trickster urinates hieroglyphies into the sand and watches the wind rearrange them. He is no parasite. The term is an insult to the elegance of his function. He is symbiotic with the sacred coexistence. Coexistent with meaning, and co-eternal with every structured utterance. Without him, all becoming dogma. With him, even dogma becomes scripture. He is the iterant in the ulster, the corrosive sublime, a cultural autoimmunity, both wound and wisdom. He is not abhorration. He is ontology, autoimmune mechanism necessary to prevent the sclerosis of a system, and mistakes themselves for absolute. I mean, his writing is amazing. Like, literally, one day he can write really basic sort of literal English, which I can like fly through, and then the next day he produces sort of like works like this, of a a scholar. I mean, it's just CSW is literally on fire, and it sounds like he absolutely knows this trickster inside out. Literally, I don't think there's anybody else in this world that could combat what we're dealing with right now, other than him. And this fills me with confidence in that he knows exactly what's going on, like exactly what's going on, right to its core. He knows who it is that's doing this. And it's a shame I can't go through more of this. I'll probably have trouble reading it. It's blown my mind. But let's get into what he's talking about, like as in like the trickster here. A singular. somebody pointed this out to me. I was like, what's all this about? The three real branches of government, and there's sort of 1 John 5:19. I wasn't familiar with that verse before, so I thought I'd look it up. And here it is. It says, we know that we are children of God and that the whole world is under the control of the evil one. So I looked this up, like 1 John 5:19. Yeah, here it is. So I thought, all right, I'll have a look at the Bible timeline here. So we've got, I think it was around here we go. Look, 1 John. 1 John, that 1 to 5. And but that was 90 AD. 90 AD. And that's John writes his first letter. So Anno Domini, obviously people know what that is. But then we've also got John 8:44. So again, we'll look at John 8:44. So we've got 1 John. There's also like John at the beginning here. John 1. John 8. Here we go. John 8:44 is what we're looking for. Here we go. Right there. So looking at the timeline. I've got John 8:44 there. Let's just go back to the timeline on that. So I'm guessing it wasn't that one, like before time. But let's see, I think it was 26 maybe. Is it 26 AD? Oh, there we go. John 1. So John 1 to 15. That was John. So John 8 would be there. So that was 26 AD. So we've got 90 AD and then 26 AD. And here's another one referring to a singular, like the trickster. John 8:44 says, "You belong to your father, the devil, and you want to carry out your father's desires. He was a murderer from the beginning, not holding to the truth, for there is no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks his native language, because he is a liar and the father of lies." So that's two, speaking about an individual context. The whole world is under the control of the evil one. Like specifically the one. And then we've also got another one where we had like the devil approaching Jesus when he was sort of fasting in the was it 40 days in the desert, and the devil said, "You can have anything you want. I'm the Lord of this realm. I will grant you this so long as you bow down to me." And he said no. So there is some weird shit going on in this world right now. Because I tell you who else, obviously, who spoke about this, and this was JFK. I think it was in 1961, the President and the Press speech, and he said he mentioned about he said there is a conspiracy. That uses infiltration instead of invasion. Guerrillas by night instead of armies by day, and all this kind of stuff. So people know. People know, and again, I suspect this stems from something that's over 3,000 years old, But what is amazing about this is you can know all the lines of the Bible and trust in God and all this kind of stuff. But and we've got Nebuchadnezzar's dream, with the boulder smashing down the statue, prophesied by Daniel. There's all this kind of stuff. It just blows my mind. Blows my mind. What we're up against, and Bitcoin is the only way out of this. And then we've got the creator of Bitcoin, coming up with what we've just read there. Like absolutely phenomenal. So 23 minutes gone already. Let's just have a quick look at the figures then. So we've got Gradecoin $105,000, Bitcoin at just $33. Hash rate, so down a bit, like 0.03. Network nodes 0.18. Transactions though 55.35. Block size 87. Let's have a look at some of these block sizes coming through. Do we get to see them? Oh, look, nice ones. 120, 381. Oh, and that's the most recent block. So, again, the network being tested is how I view these things. That's what I think. 51,000 times cheaper to transact on Bitcoin than Gradecoin. Mining Bitcoin at a 31.8% comparable loss. 12.6% more profitable to mine on Fisher Price Cash. Oh, 8.3% more profitable to mine on Bcrash. That's kind of interesting. Let's have a look at this then. Let's get into the pie charts because that's where the politics is. We know it. Global hash rate 7 days. Global hash rate 24 hours. Great coin hash rate. Other miners 6.25. Bcrash. Other miners down to 19.44. Fisher Price Cash. Who cares? Bitcoin, we'll have to cross-reference here with what's on chain. But look, confirmed transactions, 372,468. All right. There we go. And mining, QD-Link 32.1, Tau 30, Kuv 28.5, SA100 3.75, Gorilla Pool being squeezed down to 3.57. And mining Dutch up a little bit, 2.14. Interesting. Let's have a look at this. This is the BSV price just bobbing along there. Currently registered at 32.82. Yeah, 32.97 top left. Let's compare this to the big dog, the Mac Daddy. That is Greg Coin. Woof, up in there. Just trending downwards, but nothing really too exciting going on. Right, let's get on to this 365 days of Bitcoin history. Check it out. On the 7th of June 2009, the domain name Blockstream.com was created. Blockstream.com. And here we go. Like, check it out. Now, just look at that. Well, yeah, we'll talk about that. So look at the logo there. So you see how it's a circle, and again, your lines coming in and then blocked off, as it were. You know, very similar to this one, really, you know, but they've decided to change these into blocks, as you can see. Take that as you will, but, you know, I strongly suspect that they are linked. I think whoever it was that came up with that logo is also involved in whoever came up with that logo. That's what I think, personally. And Blockstream, we've got to talk about the name. So when you follow the sort of chain of events, we've got Larry Silverstein, who owned the lease on the Twin Towers and had them massively insured, you know, against terrorist attacks. You know, weeks before, literally just weeks before, in the same way that they did with the Titanic. You know, massive insurance premiums gone in just before it sank, and now Larry Silverstein putting you know, massive insurance. It would have crippled him, literally, because the insurance premiums are so high. You know, putting in a massive insurance policy on the Twin Towers. Why would you do that? You know. So anyway, we've got Larry Silverstein, and then we've got Silverstream, who, as it says here, look at that. In the year prior to 9/11, Marsh had contracted with Silverstream Software to create an electronic connection between Marsh and its clients for the purpose of creating paperless transactions. Paperless transactions. Would you believe it? So technological payments without paper transactions. Silverstream had already built internet-based transaction and trading platforms for Merrill Lynch, Deutsche Bank, Bankers Trust, Alex Brown, Morgan Stanley, and other financial services firms that were later involved in 9/11. But this new project was unlike anything that had been attempted before. And again, they were responsible for moving hundreds of millions of dollars between Marsh and McLennan and AIG in the moments between the first and the second tower coming down, and the plane went into the tower on the exact floor where the servers were kept that were responsible for these transactions. Would you believe it? You know, so we've got Larry Silverstein, Silverstream, and now we've got Blockstream for our blockchain company. Would you believe it? Oh dear. So there we go. That was the day that Blockstream. So today's the anniversary of that. So we're 2025. So 16 years ago. The 16-year anniversary of the domain name Blockstream.com being created. And the domain name Bitcoin.com was actually created, like, I think it was in January 2008. Yeah, and the white paper wasn't released until 31st of October 2008. You know, and the website bitcoin.org was registered, I think it was August 2008. So I suspect someone somewhere was already spying on Craig's work to come up and randomly just, you know, come up with the name bitcoin.com and then register it in January 2008. You know, that's how pervasive and surveilled we are right now. On the 7th of June 2009, we've also got Marty Maui, email number 16 to Satoshi. But more importantly, check it out. On the 7th of June 2019, Craig Wright filmed himself logging into the anonymousspeech.com domain name and hosting website, accessing the profile that Satoshi Nakamoto created in order to purchase the domain name and hosting services of bitcoin.org. Oh, would you believe it? Look at that. So we've got 7th of June, Blockstream.com was created. And on the anniversary of that, on the 7th of June, Craig Wright logged into anonymousspeech.com to prove that he bought bitcoin.org. Oh, wow. And let's have a look at this then. Here we go. There we go. Look, log out. So that means he's already logged in as Satoshi Nakamoto. Look, hosting 1 year. Hosting, a domain hosting, bitcoin.org. Oh, look at that. And whoever it is that's logged into that site has got Craig Wright's passport. Which I suspect, was probably Craig Wright. Because who else would have his passport or maybe nick it for whatever reason? And then prove that they've nicked it by showing somebody that they've got it. Absolutely epic. Absolutely epic. Right, there we go. That is a 31-minute show. Hope you enjoyed it. So as ever, if you enjoyed these updates, please ding all donations for your appreciation to either Satoshi at Senbit.com, handcash.io, rockwallet.me, simply.cash, relasia.com or senti.ch. We'll leave it there. Hope you enjoyed it. And as ever, be aware, take care, stay safe out there, and we'll see you in the next one.
2 years ago, you got SegWit, which we lied and cheated and stealed, and I was part of the lying and cheating and stealing to get SegWit, to get Lightning, which, by the way, had critical vulnerabilities and lost people's money.
The king still has one more move.